Alright, I'm going to Janju Sem Jubi Janju Sem Ge, then he Sem Give Jelia, Mangao Kumba Sedi, says not Rangi, then Jiki Mashiwa Nivetse, Devi Ring Delia, and Janju Sem Gula Janju Sem Ge, then it Judum Long, Lenje, the new Corp John Bear, I say. Yahu should turn that temperature source and begin. Then the chicken, Dingy, and then Dingy, Denjuki, Milimus, Tovatilia, and Chi turn that temperature so Yahu source and big the nature you send Yaman chair about Bear or Jones and Bay. And dealing around Gulata, Janju Sem Gulate, Tanga Janju Samba, Chabare, Chesan Sanji, Risu Cubare, Saji, Dusin a Gao comedic cinema, Dusin, and Jiggy, Janju Samba. Good
evening. In the verses we looked at last week, there were the verses where one generates bodhicitta and makes the vow of a bodhisattva. So having revisited those two verses, the 23rd and 24th, we started to look at the last major section of the text, which is rejoicing in just what one has done. And the final verse, the 26th verse that we looked at last week, started with expressing the recognition that one's life has now become truly fruitful. So tonight we'll continue with some of the remaining verses on rejoicing in just what we have achieved.
And then the Janju Semper Tombasong and Jubi Semba Rangula Kevare, then the Chita, Bet Gauchua, Gasu, Gawa Combache, that Gawa Combasa Maria, that Delia, and Dering, and the Tempata, Shishin, Tienje, Janju Sempicheva, Chicken Yamlentie, Japuchi, Sempigata, Dushin, Bayo, Tienje, Yamlin Jegi, Dushin, Chicken Sempe, Dushin, some Dana, my sugar, didn't.
So hold in mind where we are in the text. So after great effort, the new bodhisattva, having recently generated bodhicitta and made the vow of the bodhisattva, is rejoicing in just what has been achieved. So tonight we'll continue with verses of rejoicing, wherein also it is emphasized that one's bodhicitta will be protected and enhanced through relying on conscientiousness, mindfulness, and vigilant introspection. Then the 27th verse, now in whatever way possible, I shall initiate actions harmonious with this lineage, that in no way defile or compromise this flawless and honorable pedigree.
Janju Sem Gomyata, Janju Sem Bichova, Nyamlentiki Pa, Chick Tusuetang, Gangadang, Ganeshi Chevinet, Tingedelia, Mashabachi, Bezuche, and Inji Minji Jinejang, Yamenti, Inji Yamenti, or that Muduche, the negative didn't the part, Dangi, Chipe, Janju Sem Bichova, Janju Sem Gomyare, Janju Sem Bichova, Layare, the negative Yamlenche, the Chick Gangada, the Garechevina, Garech. Jumbe Hinayang Mashabache, Inji Minjida, Nebarduni didn't buy Yamchi easy or that, then at a Chine Yang said.
The first word here, that of now. So this is the recognition of exactly where the bodhisattva is, recognizing, I have now generated bodhicitta, and more than that, I've made the vow of a bodhisattva. Now, so this is where they are, in whatever way possible. So this is where they are making the promise to fulfill the vow that they've made, which is to engage in the various activities of a bodhisattva. And they will strive in acting out the activities of a bodhisattva no matter the circumstance, or as it says here, in whatever way possible. So whether circumstances are favorable or challenging, the Bodhisattva will strive to continue to work to benefit beings, because this is the very purpose of their existence.
Rikda Tumbe Le Zamde, so that Rikda Tumbe Le Zamde is in the Rik Sia de Sangi Rik, like our Sangi Rik Janju Semba, Koran to Nyamlenje Janju Semba, did Nyamlenje, Nyamlen Jege, Dedan Tumbu Tone, Lunga Yusumye, Le Jawa Zamjene. Nyamlen Jigins or Deda Tumba. Just not Janju Semba, Sangi Rig, Snatchu Semba, Namke Nyamlen, Kanache Deda Tumba Nyamjo, Deda Mitumba Chavana, then Jigga Dugo Maro, Deda Tumbige, and Janju Semba Nyamli Rimba, Deda Tumba Jedangi, Le Zamdes and Luki led and Marga led, Igi, Luma Yusumi led the best Zamjan, Duchene Nyamlen Jigin said, Rita Tumba led some days.
The second line, I shall initiate actions harmonious with this lineage being the lineage of the Bodhisattva, now having been born or, as a child of the Buddhas, or having given rise to bodhicitta within. The Bodhisattva will ensure that all their activities, whether are solely mental or whether they are expressions of the mind of the Bodhisattva through physical means or verbal speech, will solely be harmonious with the lineage of the Bodhisattvas, solely in accord with the lineage of Bodhisattvas.
Sanji Rik and Risu gave Janju Semba, Namge Nyamlenda, and Nyamlenda Tumba, and she get Makawashi Tumba, and Lungas Jawazim Jelegachi, Nyamlin Chickens, and the Negi Tumbek, Nyamlin Cheg, Kadesan, Gumezimbi Rik de la, Gumezimbi Rik Seduda, Janju Semba Namgi, Nyamlin Jedu, and Lunga Yusme Guna, Chick, Nyomobe Guna, Judge, Gumeba, and Nakasore. Dangpo Gawa, Bardo Gawa, Tamara Gawa, so that she's not Dambo Kuno, Janjusim Yamlin Chi, Dambo Kuno, Janjusim Gunela, that Dambo Gawa, Gunela, Dene, and the Jig, Shan Semja, Tamjela, Peg, Donal, Pembe, Duna, Sanyokoba, Toba, shows about Janjusim Gunela, Dambo Gawa. Then Bardolia and the Jagunela, Jimbata, Sudan Seva, Shanle, Pempic Java, Duyandu, and the Jig Bardo and Gawa. And Tamadinium to Lembale, Denatar, and the Sanjo Goban Toja Shenu, by she is not that Bardo Tamara Gawa, Seduja, Janju Semba Namgim, Yamlin Jagi, Jika Lunga, Kasori, Nyomope, Guna, Gungang, Gun Meba, and the Jiki Dambo Gawa. Tamara Bardo Gawa, Tamara Gawa, Shenim Bashi, Duce, and the Lucian Jawa, Nichale Gawa, Yamlin Chigores. Just not the new mobile, not Jim Mabazada, the nigger Zumba, so the Zumba said the Lu Zumba, Nga Zumba, Yi Zumba, said Lunga used me Zumba, Yavos or that, Gunada, the nigger Zumbi, Yamlin Cheg, Jansis Manambi, the Tus Yamlin Chigores, Jansis Jumba Rik. Just that the name Yamlin Rik, De Yamlin Rik, Tina Shinji Dilla, and the Yamlin Chigis or Dinamlin, Tina Shinji or Gumbe Zumbi Rik Dilla, said. Talk to a person. Dambo. Mamma Sava gave me Janjusim Bernam Yamlin Garache, Dambo Kuno, Janjusim Yukunela, Dambo Secu, Yukuno, Janjusim Yukunela, and Janjusim Yukunela, Janjusim di Jigam. Chedo Java, Semja, Tam Jigu Dondal, Migoro, me, and the Drupjadi, and the Zove San Yoko von Tovachigoro, Chesa Janjusim, Dambo Janjusim Yukunela, the Tomara Gawa. Janjusim Yugune Lang Jene, Jimbada, Sudan Suba, Shanle Pempi Jawa, Yamlin Chasa, and the Bardo Gawa. Din Yamlin Jabala Dene, Taran, Garatos, San Yoko Toyondua, Toby the Shanle Pembabaji, to be San Yoko Toy, not Tamara Gawa, Chesa Tomara Gawa, and Bardo Gawa, Tamara Gawa, and Denigi Gawa, to be Lungagi, and the Lung Zumba Dang, Jing Zumba. Yi Zumba said the Lunga used me Gunan, Javig, or those in Yamlin Nangor, change somebody to do Yamlin Nangor, just like the nigger Yamlin Rik Della, Dina, Injigea, dus nyamle jigi si orobada.
Still with the second line, I shall initiate actions harmonious with this lineage. Looking then at the term initiate, so this signifies the beginning, and it will thereby implies the beginning as well as the middle and the end. So the Bodhisattva is making the commitment that at every stage of their Bodhisattva activity, whether the initial or the beginning, the middle or the end, everything will be harmonious with this lineage. Being harmonious with the lineage means that free of afflicted motivation or self-interest in the motivation, and a motivation focused on others. And this needs to be expressed through the Bodhisattva activities of the initial, middle and end. The initial then refers to, just like all the Bodhisattvas do all that they do, whether physical, verbal or solely mental activities, are done with the motivation of bodhicitta, the motivation to guide all beings to attain a state where they attain liberation from suffering. That is the motivation of the Bodhisattva, to benefit all beings in the most meaningful of ways. So just like all Bodhisattvas practice in this way, so too will this Bodhisattva. Moreover, whilst engaging in, so that is the initial, beginning part, whilst engaging in the activity, the Bodhisattva, having generated the motivation, Bodhisattvas in general having the motivation of bodhicitta, the activity in the middle part is where they are engaging in activities of ethical restraint, generosity, patience, and so forth. So the various perfections or the 4 ways to positively influence beings. Whatever the activity is, this too will be done in a way uninfluenced by the afflictions, not under the control or the dominance of the afflictions. So the new bodhisattva will act just like the other bodhisattvas do in the middle parts of the actual activity. And then so too, just like bodhisattvas have as their end goal the determination that until each and every suffering mother being has been led to attain their own enlightenment, I will strive to help them all. In the same way as that is the end goal for all bodhisattvas, I too, as this new bodhisattva, will strive with a similar understanding. So in brief, whatever the bodhisattva does, whether it's a physical activity, verbal activity, or mental activity, will be conjoined with bodhicitta from the outset, and as well as throughout the activity, and with at the end the determination to continue until all beings attain enlightenment. And each of those 3 steps, the beginning, middle, and end, will be not under the influence of the afflictions, but largely free of influence from the afflictions.
Zanda denegi Geshe Thubten Rabten nyamlen ji rinpa thoda parsum ge gewa ane lunga yusum ane jige zunbe ge rangshin denegi nyamlen delia ngeyan labkins dene zada nyokwa mi ge tetar cha scanis labgi resene da nyok kan chenge nyokwa mi ge tetar cha nyokwa mi ge sene gyön me ba si orwa da nyokwa la ne gyön yue ba de la dan ma zu nyokwa se churo ji ji nyokwa ro sa ro ma ngwe ne nyokwa re sha si orwa de tung tu ya ma ro ba che da nyokwa me ba sen gyön me ba si gore che da ga re gyön mi nyokwa me ba se de da janju sim bene janju ka so ne mon ba sim ye jebe labja da ma ga wa ne jubasim gi la joba nyamnen gi kasore nyamnen chege labja da migawa chene labja chasa nyamsu labja de da migawa chene nge nyamsu lingi so da labja de da gawa na da nyoba ro chi kyen ro cha yo ro chesa de ne gi za da khorong gi janju semba gi de ni da kyen me ba khorong ju kyen me ba zunbe rang chen chen nyamne de nge ya labgin de la yan za da nge gar chosna monba semgi gi anchi nyam monba semgi gi bi gi da monba semgi gi and because labjadang jubasimgi labjadang megawajin and the judushan nyamlen jigi is order nyowan measure tetar chas nyowan measure megawa tetar chas bene koronale gemba chanju semba da bene chanju semba pabala soba koron jugi dusine nambare dinhashi ngejang dinhashi jene an chanju simki labjada migawa jene nyamsu lingi yin seoruda yoga mi yede da jas.
The last two lines of the verse, that in no way defile or compromise this flawless and honorable pedigree. What was presented in the previous segment is also related to this as well as now. That this new Bodhisattva is making this commitment that they will train precisely in the way that all Bodhisattvas are training, whether they're fellow new Bodhisattvas, those with long experience but still ordinary Bodhisattvas, or those who have achieved the Arya grounds of the Bodhisattva. The new Bodhisattva commits to training in the practices of a Bodhisattva in the same progressive sequence as the other Bodhisattvas train. So this then links back to the 24th verse, where the vow of the Bodhisattva of engaging bodhicitta was made, where the Bodhisattva commits to training in all the practices of the Bodhisattva in the same progressive sequence as all prior Bodhisattvas as well as current Bodhisattvas. And there's commitment then to train in a way that no ways defiles or compromises the trainings of the Bodhisattva means that they will not act in a way that's contradictory to the trainings of engaging bodhicitta, but will train precisely in the way that they are being guided, which is also the way that all current and former bodhisattvas are training.
Samlo deshi gongwa dene shi gore se ora da chita koronzo da deshi tsiktan wa dani se de ko benanga chanshu sem gyule ge da chanshu sem bege dombo sonya le nyeman babe gyuning bu donde dene ji juna sem be koron ane ji rewa kyapche chanshu sem ma ge ge donala ane jamba komba da ni jo komya nene mene lasan namda komjedu chen bich gyuning bi thone bejenje nyamlen chene man dirin koron gyula janju semge ane janju semge ne dombo shu joba nyamlen gi jawala labya ge dene dombo sung du je be koron ya be da dirin ngi nyamane da kalemangu gyabyu de dona ruson sembege dengi dona ruson sembege da dene ge gawa shuchi ki gor wada gawa shuchi ge da dene gawa ge de dene semshul ma son be ningdo ro ge jina o da dine ya go chungwa de dene da diring gyule dene chen kale gyapche towa za chimbu chaje semge gyule ge domba sung jue jebe nyamne ja labyo go rawa di da di diring sung jenge chikanga ka se chebe na kare chumbe na chik Nelle ya mazen bache an jigen inji minje muti chi nyamlen ji saje an den du chene semshu ge ya da an dene ge nyamlen je deang an taba chen bi ge sangi ye rik an janshu semba pawala so bo koron ge an ji kanes nyamlen na wa na shi koron ge nyamlen je da tumba je ge nyamlen ji taba chen bi ge nyamlen ji da tumba je da nyamlen ji de lunga ge 이 류가게 레 가네쌈 레가 제원나 되는 지기 세베 딱으로 두신 셈슈로 심마서나 두스키고로 와다
Summarizing this verse then, from the very first word of now. So here, a bodhisattva still has this greatly joyous mind at having finally achieved their heartfelt dream for so many lifetimes. They have generated uncontrived bodhicitta. And not only have they generated uncontrived bodhicitta, that being aspiring bodhicitta, but they have taken the vow, made the vow of the bodhisattva, and thereby the bodhicitta, the uncontrived bodhicitta on their continuum, is suitable to be called engaging bodhicitta. This is something they strove for so long, training and cultivating love, compassion, as well as expressing their love and compassion through generosity, ethical restraint, patience, and so forth, and done so for so long. This has now been achieved. So there's tremendous joy and resulting strength of mind on their continuum at all that has been achieved. And this strength of mind is expressed as the determination, I will, from now, live the life of a bodhisattva. I will strive to benefit others, no matter the circumstance, no matter the hardship or challenge. I will strive to benefit others, and I will do so perfectly in harmony or in accordance with my companion bodhisattvas, my role models. I will train just like them, and those who have already achieved the Arya grounds, I will strive to become like them. Because as I progress in my trainings, I will be of ever more benefit to others. I will ease their suffering, guiding them to attain their own enlightenment. So here, once again, this verse serves to strengthen the courage and the determination of the bodhisattva through strengthening the joy and delight in their mind.
Janshi Sempa, Sanje Rigi, Janshi Sempa, Koran Zugi, Nyamlen Chedi, Janshi Semju, Gunia Laja, Tomara Gawa, Bardo Gawa, Tamara Gawa, and Shendin Bashi, Janya Dushin Chale, Dushin Ligan Nangores, Jason Dinez and Dinashi, Me Yang, and the Janshi Sempi, Jova, Nyamlen Data, and Janshi Sempi, Labja, and Migawa Chene, and the Delia, and Jambati, and the Chiki. 谢谢呢，这把店的把先保佑节说的，先难免就是马东话节，这把的谢谢店这保佑吧，这些都是呢，你们这个这些都是呢，可能他讲是什么的个都是呢，跟我谢谢都可能给他你们这里啊，都是呢，什么等过来谢谢送过来的呢。말이 몇 그런 거죠. 다 그런 게 다 전심 규례 깨네. 주도 순간 전심 저러와 그런 게 삼도 두스지네 단 거래 저러와다. 전심 바디게 삼다나도 시거와 당서.
And specific to this verse, because this is a part focusing on conscientiousness. Here we see the conscientiousness being expressed through the bodhisattva's recognition that they have finally come to join the family of the bodhisattvas. So this was referred to in the previous verses, that they now of the lineage of the Buddhas, or in the family of the Buddhas. They are part of this remarkable group of beings who have as their focus benefiting others in ordinary ways, but in particular in the most meaningful of ways, guiding them to transform their minds and progress to attaining their own enlightenment. So therefore, this new bodhisattva will never act in a way that harms this lineage. And through relying on conscientiousness, they will ensure they are always acting in a way that's flawless. In other words, ensuring that the afflictions do not overwhelm them. Their own afflictions do not influence their motivation. And thereby, they do not defile the bodhisattva lineage, do not defile the bodhicitta on their own continuum, but rather they continue to hold as their focus the great goal of the enlightenment of all beings, and expressing their determination to bring that out through the practices such as the 6 perfections. So here the new bodhisattva is committing to follow the trainings or the teachings that he's been given, and thereby to follow the conduct of all other bodhisattvas.
Janshi Sem Koran Zuye, Janshi Sem Gulake, Janshi Sem Gulake ne, Mambasim Yake, then Mambasim Yesevechelia, and the Chigi, Janshi Semba, Jubig, Tomba Songje, the Nigger Tomba Todikin, Janshi Sembadiki, Dushin the Sam Tango Ration, the Janshi Sembadi, some Dana, and to the Tishigor, and the Tishugor Wada.
So for us, we're here once again reminded of the sequence of training that the Bodhisattva has completed thus far, training extensively to generate uncontrived bodhicitta, which is suitable to be called aspiring bodhicitta. And having generated that, they then made the vow of the Bodhisattva, meaning that their bodhicitta is suitable to be called engaging bodhicitta. And then, with the determination that now that they've joined the ranks of their role models, they will train just like they are, and in this way only enhance the lineage.
Alright, that the me janju semba koron zuge nyamle natha da nyamle natha de ma shu da de ma shu da ngaran zuge da gar che gore sen da ngaran zu janju sem ngaran zuge le ke ya marwa ma ke ba da di da ngaran zu le di ma 지게 년제 내가 주 지게 퇴삼 제비게 당 하는 중 냠는 지야데 가래서데 당봉 하는 중 두시네 나 디기 마 된다 삼당에 답에 전주선바 네 디기 그런 제로 망비를야 잡아다 니지고 다 전주선 길에게 되네게 주비 domba 송제 전주선에 죄발라비아라고 고갑디네라 배 야고로와 선배당은 그런 소리야 지 제수이라게 당봉하서 제수이라게 배 야고래서 되네게 안지게 니나신지 나랑 얘기야 되네시 톱전냠내시야라는 배 야고래 선배 진주나 선배게다 다 그런 게 되네게 전주선배기 때야 안지 제수 일하지야다 안 라야다디데 제일삼바 탐지기에 냠는 지게도 아니 군에 지게 도다 봤음 얘기와 릉아 이숨 시와 현된 바시 제게 지거를 때배 아버레샤 선배게 되네게 연된들이야 제수 일하지야다 아니 나랑 얘기야 되네게 톱제 디나 괴나 konzu나신 톱제 안 자시심 길에 계제 냠는 지에들란 라네 배고래 선배들이야 뭔밖에야다 안지게 되네 라비게 몰람게야로 되네 시간을 삼당고 그래
So for us who are yet to generate bodhicitta, how should we approach a verse such as this? Here we should use this as a basis to generate our own strength of mind, our own determination to join the rank of the bodhisattvas, just like the new bodhisattva being described here. And do so by reminding oneself of just how this bodhisattva has trained, and thereby thereby rejoice in their attainment, recognizing how for years they strove cultivating a genuine attitude of tenderness and loving care towards all beings, recognizing them as having shown them tremendous kindness, and recognizing the very close and intimate relationship or intimate link that all beings share. And this way, generating a loving attitude towards all, and using that as a basis to develop compassion, and thereby the wholehearted resolve or the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility, and finally bodhicitta. But even when they first tasted the rise of bodhicitta in their mind, they weren't complacent with that, because their bodhicitta was genuine. They wanted to become a Buddha for the sake of others, so they continued in their endeavors to cultivate bodhicitta, and when they weren't in meditation, they were acting under the influence of this mind, being of benefit to others, and eventually, through continuing this process, their bodhicitta arose in a spontaneous and uncontrived manner. And then, now having generated aspiring bodhicitta, they made the vow of the bodhisattva and entered into the ranks of their fellow bodhisattvas. So here recognize their incredible attainment and all the qualities that they have achieved, the great benefit that they're bringing into the lives of many beings, how they truly have lived a life of great meaning. So here we rejoice in their motivation and all they did to cultivate that, as well as the activities that they're engaging in, both over those many years of training to become a bodhisattva and now as a new bodhisattva. And then, so firstly, rejoice in what they've done. Then secondly, use that joyous mind to strengthen one's own determination. I too, in this life, will strive for and join the ranks of the bodhisattvas. In the same way that they have achieved this, I, by following the example, training in the same way as them, I can achieve this too. It is not beyond my capacity, but within my capacity, within my reach.
Denege samdaje aniche suira da ange ya denege nyamle je tu ba sho sembeke monbege tumbaje da denege molam je dene garche orasa nang zoge sosuine da chige semje tamje kowe kas nangbo zo kowe dunga delya an chige kamsum leda nyumbo ongo kowale kache kawa keweine da dunga yarashin yanya reshe dunga delya targodu chesan ko dunga le targodu sebege da dunga gyu nyumbo ba pangbe tarba se de tobodu wa sembege samloshita an dene 디나신 근데 랑 타발에 동아를 저시 타발 토바나 토바 되바 나시 심전 탐제 지버지기하래 개발가요 말에 세대 안 심전 탐제 두 삼다 되네 심전 탐제 대화대 되나 sembe게 템버 쇼 sembe 잠바콤 되네 심전 탐제 동아단 자와 쇼 sembe게다 니제로 지콤 되네 심전 탐제 동아단 자와담 인디아와다 템바데 녜지기 녜심제 탄별로 펜바지 두기 셈비게 달 진네 하삼로지 삼로다 데네 자당의 심제 탐지게 된다래 산요고 봐도 버쇼 셈비게 셈디바 두스케죠 공미야디 공고야디 차고라 네
I'll encourage you then to meditate is you can take this verse, if it touches you, take this verse as a basis for your meditation. Generate, as just mentioned, firstly a rejoicing in the motivation that these new bodhisattvas have generated, as well as their activities, both to attain bodhicitta, as well now as new bodhisattvas, and use that then to develop the determination or the aspiration, I will join their ranks. And then embark on the meditation, first reflecting on the pervasiveness of suffering throughout the realms of samsara, recognizing that there is no rebirth or experience to long for, to strive for, that is worth one's endeavors if it is attained by a samsaric being. In other words, there's no birth, there's no experience within the realms of samsara that is not subject to suffering. Everything that is bound within samsara is subject to suffering. Therefore, every being still bound within this self-constructed prison of samsara experiences suffering. And use this firstly to generate a disenchantment with samsara, a disenchantment to whatever delights draw you, recognizing that whatever pleasurable experience is gained is fleeting, cannot last, and it cannot satisfy one's desire for lasting happiness. And recognize that the vast majority of beings are completely lost and confused, with no idea how to gain freedom from their current situation. In this way, generate compassion for suffering beings, giving rise to a wish. May they be freed of suffering. May they attain a state where they never again have to suffer, and generate the mind of love, thinking how wonderful it would be if beings abided in lasting happiness, never again having to experience any problems at all. And then, as one gets more familiar with the minds of compassion and love, recognize that it's unacceptable to strive for one's own peace of mind whilst leaving others behind. Their happiness is one's own concern because of our close and intimate relationship formed over many lifetimes, and our own good qualities are all dependent on them too, or interdependent with them too. And this way generate a sense of responsibility for the welfare of others. Then having generated the wholehearted resolve, recognize that the only way one can fulfill this wish within you to ease the suffering of others is to become the most skilled of guides, to become a Buddha, a being who can precisely engage with others in accordance with their own karmic predispositions, and thereby skillfully guide them to spiritually evolve and attain their own liberation. And in this way, generate bodhicitta yourself.
number 2 mi bada number chasan chung de gen ji sem jing a su le gi yor ba da di sem de daun jig mi ja ju sem ji 유원한 디르바다 마오바나 가서 부글 마서나 마오바나 뽐보 제워 차간기 부구 충주 나진 차고 와다 제사지 디자 침부시고 차려로 와디 네게 삼로지 제사 디네게 삼로디 전주 심고네 마이나 마오바나 전주 셈 쮸마면 유리하게 전주 셈디 디레다 디 곰바팅 가서 디네 고미야디 제사 디네 곰바디다 소수큐라 개와레 전주 셈 넘버 총비게다 디네게 미바다 남바 총ting에 삼로 시켜야돼 다 되니게도 다 소소라하게 기여봐 되니게 완자 당한 저기 소소 검게 완자 당한 저 가르삼 당을 선디에 니바텔라 안 어다 디링에 nga 지게 디니마 슈바나시 아저다 nga 데미시바제 다데 되베 링델이야 안 직되니게 잠니주곰 전주샘게 도시에디 곰바레데 야고 중송 선배게다 가와고미야다 안딩이 디링 지금 미 류된 톱 된주 류된 톱 되바델이야 안지 된다 된바 안 라신 군레 펜비 셈디 니도스체네 게제 냠는제 고업 냠는제 베 야고레 세고 야고 중송 선배게 소소 가와게 안 디나신다데 가와 담보도스체네 소소라랑게 되네가 가와고미들이다 안저 당이 기신예마디 전주선바 코로나 저기 아니 디링크세 데뉴다세 제보이 민세바 레바 톱 데레산 이루소세 산예소서 다유도세 두장아마 셰로 아치나 디가슨 코로나 감 가오고메 송고로바 전주선문에 계제네 미데미 데데줄리된 토바 전주선 진냠는 제 기회적 냠는 배하고를 가고 말로 디나싱한 죄인데 당이 디링 미 된주 밀리를 뭐죠 톱 되는 제 소소한 게다 마셔봐 선비링 될이야 시행패 자주셈 되네기 공제 잠니 조금 자주셈 규례기 도시네 냠네 고미야라도 배 야고 중송 선비게다 미미세 되나 된바 차송 선비게 디고마디 삼로다 디고미에 셈디 안에 마오반에 전주스미 용어 교야다 안 탈바다 탐지 가서 산지역 고마토비 고마토의 규야 디체고 제자다 되나 된바 중송 선비게다 소소나 두스가와 고미야 디제
By doing this meditation, where first one reflects on suffering and then uses that as a motivation to generate love, compassion and bodhicitta, by engaging in this meditation again and again, you familiarize your own mind with each of these steps of the meditation. Every time you do the meditation, those imprints of that meditation are placed on your imprints of the minds that you generate in the meditation are placed on your continuum. Minds such as definite emergence, love, compassion, all their imprints are placed on your continuum. Slowly over time, as you gain ever greater familiarity with this meditation, these imprints weigh up or mass up on your continuum. And in this way, your mind is becoming ever more familiarized with this way of thinking, where one is no longer being so drawn after the delights of samsara, or so repelled by the problems of samsara, but are rather having a far broader outlook. Moreover, one will be relating to others with ever more love and compassion. This is how you will experience the familiarity of this meditation, or your familiarity with this meditation as you engage in it again and again. And here, with each meditation, recognize that this is what you are doing. No matter, it's not about whether you found this individual meditation effective or not, but to the extent that you tried, the imprints were placed. And in this way, you are creating the causes that will eventually lead to bodhicitta arising for the first time. Likewise, these causes also will add to eventually, when bodhicitta has arisen a number of times, it arising in a manner that is uncontrived, and you thereby have aspiring bodhicitta on your continuum and have entered into the paths of the Mahayana. The attainment of that goal is achieved through going through these steps. So here I strongly encourage you, with each time you do the meditation, at the end of, or nearing the end of your meditation, recognize that this is what you are doing. You are meditating in the same way that all the Bodhisattvas did in order to become Bodhisattvas, you are following in their footsteps. Recognize this. Recognize that you are planting these seeds on your continuum that will lead to you becoming a Bodhisattva in the same way that actual Bodhisattvas in our world once did. Recognize this. Rejoice in your own endeavors. And here you can also either recall specifically the verse or the meaning behind the verse of the preceding verse, the 26th verse. My life has now become fruitful with this human existence being well assumed. Today I've been born into the family of the Buddhas and have become the Buddha's spiritual child. So whilst for ourselves, we are not yet Bodhisattvas, we are not yet children of the Buddhas, but we are taking those steps to achieve that exalted state. We are training exactly how the Bodhisattvas once trained, and recognize that, rejoice in that. And through this mind of joy, you'll continue day after day to engage in these meditations and come ever closer to where you too are part of the lineage of the Buddha's family.
That the Shuban and Danetaki Chine Yerida Tumbeles and the Gumezim Ridel, Yom Yetedra, Session Horongi, and Dirin Padushin and Yamlan Chicken said Dushin and Azu Tinashi, Mausna, or Dirin that the same Simpia, or that the Dirin Sunjang, the Niki Sem de Mutisha, Chickamash, Mutisha Kumgis, Gomchen. Just about Horonzuki, Yamlin Jabanashi, Jing Heya, Deneki Yamlin Chi, Sampikida, Mudisho Kumgi said Yamlin Chi, Diana Chige, Benikun, Yomobe, Gun, want to Mason Waje, and the Chige, Shanlia, Pembapachi, some dashing in Yamlin Chi, Sambedanga Dushin, Semshu Masona, Sosu Yamlin Chi, Chigin Sibi. Damjaya Dam, Denegi, and Semshu Kiagi, Dushene, Numbageti, and some downwood, the next down by Neda, Manzuke, Dinaji, Chagor, Danetaki, China, Yerida, Lesem, they said, Digi, Dunda, the Chinese Mokronzu, Yamlin Jebanaji, Anzu, Dushin, some Tambina, Anzulit, Dushin, Yamlin Jevana, Anzul, Yamlin Javana, Dushin, Dango, with Rada.
What I'm guiding you towards is to shake out of this ordinary self-conception as oneself as being much weaker, much smaller, or rather like this, having much less capacity than actually each of you have. Because all of you possess the qualities required to become bodhisattvas. And by engaging in this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period, you will all become bodhisattvas. So recite a verse such as this 27th one, but in relation to yourself when you have done this meditation. So having completed the meditation, where to the extent of our own capacity, we generate love, compassion, and bodhicitta, and then recite, now in whatever way possible, I shall initiate actions harmonious with this lineage, that in no way defile or compromise this flawless and honorable pedigree. And in this way, you commit, I will do my best to act like my role models, to act like a bodhisattva in this world. Because whilst I have not yet entered the paths of the bodhisattva, I aspire to do so. And therefore, I aspire to act like a bodhisattva. I aspire to have as my motivation, as much as I can, the welfare of others. And in this way, strengthen your confidence, strengthen your confidence, no longer seeing yourself as limited, as not capable, but recognizing, I am an aspirant to the paths of the bodhisattva. I do aspire to do so, and therefore, it's suitable for me. I'm worthy of acting under the influence of the motivation of a bodhisattva.
Andus Chinda Janjusimpiki, Jopiki, Tenikin, Jogi, City, Palo, Dundaki, some dache, that's Sosuin, Yamnelia, Duchin, Sosuke, some dache, Yamlen Jeven, the Junjuki, and Yamlen Chigores, Junju, Yamlen Ches, Tiniswa, the Junju, Nalosung Shagudi, Junju, Nalosung Shagudi, 전시 셈바 그런 지금 무슨 냠을 라란 따상 송거로 두수 제발했어. 제산 디파 지금 로던다 하고 같이 제산 딘하신지 소소라는 셈주 제자 오다 되는 제자 딘하신 소소라는 제베이나 다른 전주의 냠는 세지 지고로 제도 두스네 제제지는 아주 야게 친제 되는 그런 전시 셈바 그런 송외네 나신지 나들이 뒤갑지래야 자기로 하다 용구로 와.
The title of this text, Engaging the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, can be expressed equally as engaging the Bodhisattva's conduct. So here, by meditating the way I'm describing, using verses such as these as inspiration, this is how we, at our limited level, can engage in the Bodhisattva's conduct. It's not something we need to delay, put off until we are actually Bodhisattvas. No, right now, in accordance with our own capacity, we too can engage in the Bodhisattva's conduct. So utilize verses like this to spur this recognition that our capacity is far greater than we give ourselves credit for. We can do so much more good, be of greater benefits to others than we recognize.
준지드마 로 된다 삼다 되네 된다 준지나로 스코런지 두 나와 나신지 소소라랑게 디나신지 냠는지에 베즈체베나 먼저 준주 냠는식으로 디나신 렘림 냠는지고세데 렘림 바로 렘림 나로 송바 나신지 온 소소게 지기 델리아 안지 베즈체 지 된다 냠는지 귤에게 된다는 아주 베즈체베인다 렘림 냠는지고세로다 딘지스 냠는세데 당하주기 준주 냠는세 준주 코로나 송샤교디다 제시스마 코로나 냠낸 가르스는 것도 담보 가르는 이바 가르 치고래 두수스게 류가 유스미고네 가르스 냠낸 거 두신바 나나디기 파하고 같이 안소소라이나 디나신지 델레 베다제 디나신지 소소라라게다 냠낸 지야라 베스시 주야데 맞아 제시스엠비게 준주의 냠는 거 요사제 또 냠는 지유사데 누스는 제베는 준주 냠는 제바 최고로와 데니지 마제벤다 안쪽에 다 준주 냠는 책말와 배나가 다르와지 지게 양아주게 지 참지 차원 장어도 당보 라핀지엔디게 당보 유에다 라와 차선 또 당보 두스다 안디네 단에 그런 게 제바나신 가능주기 연구뒤에 민도 도시네 장도치네 장게장에 얇게 두고로와 이제 나신 야보 탑싱으로와 베디나제 지버리도 와 당은 조당 마서나 제가 람림 냠는 지구에 세대 람림나 로제 람림나려 냠는 제다 림바티 나신진 송와 나신제 소소인의 베지 되네게 제투에 베주제 냠 제바는 람림 냠는 제바스 무로와다
To start with, to take an illustration from a general society, if someone aspires to dance, they will join a dance class. Hopefully they'll meet a teacher that inspires them, and they'll want to be able to flow with the grace and the ease of their dance teacher. So too, by reciting verses such as these, one both takes inspiration from the Bodhisattva. Here the Bodhisattva expressing their delight, their joy in what they've achieved. We take inspiration in what they've achieved, but recognize, I can follow in their footsteps. I too can engage in Bodhisattva's conduct. It's not something beyond me. I can identify from right now as an aspirant to the paths of the Bodhisattva, and thereby I can emulate the conduct of the Bodhisattva. And so here we see in this text the various stages of training of the Bodhisattva presented. And this you can conjoin with your studies of the Lamrim, the graduated stages of the path to enlightenment. There too, there are a progressive sequence of trainings, or graduated stages of training, by which one comes to develop all the qualities of the path in one's mind. And as the Lamrim has as its goal enlightenment, it is about developing the paths of the Mahayana, and hence is complementary to this text, the Bodhisattva's way of life. So therefore, take this as an inspiration, as a guide for your own life.
롱웨 차다르 풍보레 지더르 린친예 바더라 대신 지식 다른 예네 다른 띠네 장수 셈데 달라 예스.
Moving to the 28th verse, which continues in this outline of rejoicing. Just like a blind person finding a jewel in a rubbish heap, by some great fortune, bodhicitta has arisen within me.
롱웨 차다를 풍부를 지들은 진예 받아라 세대 빼로 차기도와 진짜 미롱와 지기 차다라서 긴인 바 차지 긴인 봉샤바 디나로랴 안지 렘보시 지기에 바 있나 가오슈 용으로 하지래 진짜 롱웨 차다를 풍부를 지들은 진예 받아라서 미델이야 되네기 지름보치 진예 바 가오슈 실리기로 와서 왔다데 베데.
The first two lines that Shantideva presents is an illustration. So one can imagine, back in the time this was written, in the 7th or 8th century, a blind person would have been someone impoverished, probably a beggar who was searching in a rubbish heap, and instead of just finding garbage, they found a jewel. So just like a blind person finding a jewel in a rubbish heap, so one here can imagine just what joy would have arisen at this life-transforming find.
그래서 내래 지들 rinchi 봐 지들을 세시도 와다 지들을 세야 돼 내려고 녀매 봐세 제사다 긴이 나나야 림보치 라데 깔라고르와 이번에 계차세 그 봉샤게 날이야 림보치 라데 공부시로 와다 야다 용 림보치 용 시바치로 와다 ben에 세로제 도도치 라시바로 와 그래서는 지금 메시지를 세 자원에 아직 대 도나야 맞아야 긴 바차도 님도 한 모가지 줘야 여러 받아 되네게 제가 되네게 지게 인긴 하려야 지단에다 공부시에 다지 되네게 긴 하려 림보치 용시 바제 다 림보치 여바나 미롱와지기 디라야라 갈래 하고와 베직 긴 제일에 갈래 하고래 대라야 갈래 하고래 세상 되네기 예 근데 림보체 기인나라 여바디야 베 시바 삼베 용야레 베진 갈래 하고 쉬우지 공부 쉬우지 다디 여바네 밀롱와지기 디라야야 베 갈래 하고 시바 시다 좀 갈래 하고 쉬우지 세상 되네기 기엔지 체제네 기엔이 왕게 안지기 긴인디 나려야 림보치 여바 아니 미글롱와디야 호롱게 디와바 제리리 갑라야 안직 되네게 긴지 긴이 체제네 주니야도 되네베 가부슈시 거래 제가 가슴 되네게 라야 갈라 하고래 호롱게 예나야 림보치 되네 예나야 호롱게 라투야 통도 라투야 갈라 하고래 되네사 되네게 라야다 되네시오지 호롱 가부슈시 기기로 와서다 되네게 자 첨부 공부슈지 되네 라와 지산디 자침보다 가오쇼 용구로 하지래. 지대르는 예바시되다 대내게 자침바 기인나려야 용미시바질 배지 여바지 안된 미롱아디게 라야데 깔래 카보레데 시 대내게 기인지 왕게 답 대내게 두시네 체제네 깔래 카보지 라야지 여바지 대내 라 예, 공부직 라투바디 지다르스 데네 라와디 림보시 라와디 베 녀오도 베 가고 쉬운 거래 제나 베더시.
With this illustration, we can firstly imagine if we were to hear about a blind person finding a jewel in a rubbish heap, we'd probably say, what are the odds of that? How is that even possible? Because in reality, not only has a blind person never seen a jewel, almost certainly has never held a jewel, especially again in the historical context, almost certainly such a person would be impoverished. And yet, despite not having ever seen or held a jewel, in a heap of rubbish, they somehow found such a thing. This is so rare that it's practically inconceivable, unimaginable. So that's one approach to take. The second is to imagine the great joy in the mind of this blind person at their life-transforming discovery, the incredible joy at how their life from this point forward will be radically different from all that has gone before.
대신 세디나신다 미롱와 나신 안에 지게 아주 내가 아주 코와봐 지게 코와봐 녀모베기 직집도가 지루와 되샤셔랑 공정아 얘기 대 미롱와 나신 디무 되네게 몽되베게 코와되제 코가줄이야 대행아주 네디야 코르위기 네 류리야 나자 안 자마라 영어유대바 안 지게 셈리야 강아 용유바 되네게 네질려 코르위 네리야 지 되네게 되리갑리야 다 되네게 자주셈 냠렌제제 귤레게세 깔레 호고슈루와 베네아주게 지 베네 지게 강아다 되네게 쇼주여베이나 내리야 냠렌제 디샹레 펜베 셈주여디 니깔레 호고슈루와 제자 되네자다 코와바 되네게 레다 뇨모 샹와도 송되게 안디 코르위 네 안지게 제 동화도 유에 동화 차바 뒤지기 동화기 나 유에게 게다 가사 지기 다 되네게 잠바다 지게 자 코와를 귀엔 대비 코와를 탈되게 삼바기 되네 자주기 가서 네 대화 tembe게 잠바곰 되네 니제곰 되네 하삼게 되네 자주셈디 달라게 제자 자주셈곰게 미규라 자주셈 깨와데 어때배하고래 셈베다 되네기가 지 코르위 내라 네 류기 나자다 심유 동아유 되게 코르위 기유 차상 유되게 유리야 뉘되샤 코로 녀모 차상 창되게 가사 지기 디링강아 되네지 베네직 강아 되네지 나라야 대셴 셴베 자주니 잠니지고 젠슈셈 유게래 게세데 배갈래 하고 공부 휴주로와 되네 공부디 다긴 난게 림보치냐 봐 나신 되네게 되네 공부 쇼딩에 디링 딩에 투바딩에 유라 찬스좀 끼와데 배 야고를 해샤 선배게 되네게 그런게 지게 도스치나 삼다제 가와시우 기고래 해제다 찬스심데 달라기 디링에 유라 찬스심게 배 야고시우 종송 선배게 다 가고 뭐래 해세데.
The third and fourth line then present the meaning of the illustration. By some great fortune, bodhicitta has arisen within me. So this then is the expression of the new bodhisattva. So when you think about it, what this new bodhisattva is saying, that I as a being still controlled by the affliction, still under the control of the afflictions, anger arising and being followed, attachment arising, being followed, pride, jealousy too, all with ignorance underlying them. This is my lived mental existence. And then conjoined with this, I have this body that has come about in dependence on contaminated causes and therefore experience physical hardships, aches and pains and illness and so forth. This is my lived experience as a being bound within the suffering realms of samsara, still tormented by the variety of physical and mental pains. Yet, despite that being the case, I have applied myself to reflecting on the actual situation of samsara, reflecting on the suffering of physical mental pain, the suffering of transient happiness, the suffering of all-pervasive suffering of conditioning. And through reflecting on the various expressions of suffering and their causes, I have given rise to genuine, definite emergence, a determination to abandon samsara, to gain liberation. But whilst I've generated such a mind, I myself still am hurt by the afflictions and samsaric pains. I'm still an ordinary being. Nevertheless, I've generated definite emergence, and I didn't leave it at that. I then focused on the situation of those around me, and in fact, those with which I've had connection with since beginningless time, recognizing that they too are suffering, developed a tender, loving attitude towards all, feeling a closeness, a tenderness towards all, generating a deep compassion for all, and developing that into the wholehearted resolve to free them from suffering. developing that further into bodhicitta, and to the extent that that bodhicitta is no longer contrived, but spontaneous. And I am so determined to fulfill this expression of bodhicitta that I've made the vow of the bodhisattva. This is what I've done, despite still being a being bound in samsara, still being a being far from freed from the influence of the afflictions. I have somehow achieved this, recognizing just what one has achieved. One can imagine the great delight, the joy, the wonder at this remarkable achievement.
대신 지식 따르 때내세 때내세도 때견다 견초가 원하다 상기기 진일라비 dob기 미규를 전주 섬게 바래서 때내세 디고래 제가 지식 따르세도 때내기 미롱화되게 기인날에 림보시 여바다 미롱화 호랑이 기인들이야 지림보시 유매 제신 되는 라마를 제신 코 기인치 태어도 코 녀바로와 디나시야 나랑이네 잠니조금 안냐 하상금 곰비기 기인데 견디 규태당 되는 라메 상계기 야 진일라랑이야 람템베기 진일라베기 뉴 dobkiyen chingi labi sangi nubi doble andiringi gyula chanshusum kieba yin sebeda duski yadu kawa kum yadu cheza teneki tene seti tene chanshusum de tala ki seti tikukur tene seti.
So it's not translated in the English because it's a bit superfluous, but nevertheless it's there in the Tibetan. So you can start the third line with the same as the first line, just like, or similarly. So, similarly, by some great fortune, bodhicitta has arisen within me. So we don't have it there in English, but it's there in the Tibetan. The meaning, though, is that this has come about, the state of being a bodhisattva now, has come about under the guidance of the bodhisattvas, through their blessings and guidance. In other words, through a process of mutual dependency or interdependency, I have created the causes independent on their guidance. In other words, through training my mind precisely in the way that my teachers have been guiding me, in dependence on that, I have now, by this great fortune, given rise to bodhicitta within me.
Then that me Janshusamba Korangi, that Janshusam Gula Kihin, Janshusamba Korangi Dushine, and the two Jisam Danji in the Gomba to do some and the Ranki Gula Janshusam Giawa Delaya, Bejik, Denegi. Juduchin Sanyi, Jam Nijo Comba, Sanyi, and the Jigger, Chinlabla Dinning, Chanshim Dustin, Trinkiwadi, Bay Abore, Sembegi, Dinishine, and Jigger Rangi, Kawakumgor, Chisana, Tungian, Ludang, the Niki Yomompe, the Nakanga, Shivu, Chitilia, Chanshim Gulaki, to the Yapochons or Sembegi, Shivu, Kawakumgor, your res, Kumgores, that Chanshim Korongi, that Gomashana in the Sugores, the Sungor on sugar already.
And in the same way that I'm now counted amongst the bodhisattvas, in the same way that this came about independent on the kindness of so many beings, particularly my teachers, but all ordinary beings too, I've now generated bodhicitta, and I can now see that Buddhahood is attainable because I have achieved this great cause within me. I know that Buddhahood will be attained. So in the same way that I, still an ordinary being, have somehow become a bodhisattva, I know if I can achieve this, I can achieve the goal of Buddhahood. It is very attainable for me. To become a bodhisattva, I have persevered through a great number of hardships and have attained this great goal. Therefore, I can have confidence that whatever hardships lie before me, these too I can traverse. These too will not overwhelm me, and therefore Buddhahood is attainable. So in this way too, we rejoice.
Dinashin Danganzi, that Delatin, Anzuki, Yamsule, Tanganzu, Sosoki, that Yamle Charguadi, the Shiva Nashi, that Jamni, Sosocom, Tinism Jatam San Yokoba Toba Shores, the Seman, the Gomero, the Nogom, the Danganzine, I didn't that the Nigi, Sosoralia, Chike, 배직 되자 셔다 녀모바 강되어 지리 안직 내가 남에 내가 사람에 봐 지리 되네기 뒤수 통은 지리야 뒤수지나 인바이나 소속이 지기 되네기 잠니죠곰 장쇼셈 곰 제도치네 장쇼셈도 깨와 직검에 깨와 제바디 직 자치모지다 그딘치무시우치 대함이 랑기 제 상기기 진일랍나 라미기마 안지게 줄이야 송제 되네기 토네 냠는지야 라바도 고갑시고 야고 중소 선배기다 되네기 자치모시우지 고갑중 야부지야 라스 고바지야 라스 냠는지야 라스 선배기다 소소란 가와곰에 책으로 와데 두시네 가지고 가와곰 제베나 근데 저기 다디 전주기 책디기 또나 마삼다 디토네 마소소리에 냠는 소소기 자야디 두샤베네 되네기 제베는다 소소규리에 삼로디 되네 지구 되네 야네 야노도 시데 기디네 간삼질이야 되네 주마마인바시 차르기로 그러와 다 주마마인바게 소마나 안내 장주sem디 귤라기야체네 장주sem바도 원에 차용 그러와다 지네에서다 소소랑기 두시네 제고 고래 제가 저기 냠는 제라 삼로도 스탄고 고래 세송 그러와다
For us then, relating to this verse in the same way that's been mentioned here, we can recognize what a remarkable achievement this bodhisattva has attained. But we can also recognize that that bodhisattva was previously no different from ourselves. So therefore, by training in the same way that that bodhisattva did, I too can achieve that state. We start our meditations with the expression, I will become a Buddha for the sake of liberating all suffering beings. And so by generating that within us and living under that guidance, we can achieve the same goal as this new bodhisattva. So in the same way that this bodhisattva attained their state, despite all the hardships and challenges in their life, we know we have an abundance of problems and difficulties in our own life, whether at our place of work or in our personal life, or trying to fulfill our various responsibilities. We have many challenges. But we have all the inner conditions as well as outer conditions required to achieve the state of bodhicitta, or the state of a bodhisattva. We have the inner conditions of having attained the freedoms and endowments, and the outer conditions of having met spiritual teachers and the Mahayana Dharma. Therefore, this is possible for me too. I can follow in the footsteps of the bodhisattvas, and I can join their ranks. I too can become a bodhisattva.
야마시베게 삼다베나 다나주게 다디 조가주게 다 셈규 두고 야기 땅고 제가 디네서 소수게 냠내 제들이 제가 디네서 다나주게 도시네 당보 다것이 코이 동안 될때 탈고도와 세베다 탈지하네 땡기 대화 녀모바 방비게 탈바 녀모바 레다 녀모봉 코와리 개와 렘바딜라 타르바세 토고도 셈베게 삼로시다 데네 삼로타에 토네 다디안 랑지고 마이 바신 랑나신 심제 탐제 랑나신 대화되바데 동메도 지바레 데네 다다 심제 탐제 대화데 데나 셈베 삼로시다 데네 심제 탐제 아니 지기 동아단 자고 동아단 잔나 셈베게 니체라 삼다 데네 심제 탐제 동아단 자와단 디기 두에 데니 두기 생에 심지에 펜바지 두기 제가 동아 영역에 대화 두기 대화 영역 유 아니 냠링이 림바티게 파 콘솔 냠링 제주 되네 녀모버 동아 영역 유 녀모버에 녀모베기 님보 탑람 덴제 콘솔에 곰주제 아니 콘솔 심지에 탐제 동아래 자야다 디기주에 네 줍제 심지에 탐제에 펜바지 두기 삼배 삼다 데니 자당 심지에 탐제에 펜바 두야 될야 다다 나랑의 귤라 데니기 콘솔에 펜바 두대게 연대 매바이자 니 다디 상지 될야 네 지게 전기 펜도 두야야 상지 고반들에 초도 규바지 요마다 약쇼 상지 고바레 대장에 심지에 탐지게 상지 고반 토버쇼 셈베게다 삼로시 나두시나 지게 잠니제 장쇼셈곰 세상에 두시나 삼다 고미에 최고래 디니고 곰세위 제일이야 안에 가서도 어다 디니게 땅이 땡들이야 이 밀류톱 and she Dada Nenazimeba Sosugi, and the Sumbu Nevi, Cetelia, me, Shanlia, Pempe, Jamni, the Jajusem Yamnjera, Beya, which was Sembigita, Denige, Gahocomeche, Medi, Misidelia. Chickena, then big lega, chick yamlen cheddar, sem getting yamlen rest of it, so together, Gawacom. Then and the Gawacom there, that in Higgy some nothing, Moody Chen, the Dining Songing, Moody Chen, Yuma Chevach and Yamlen chickens, Janjusembanam Yamlen che, Chevanashin, Jing, Yamlen to chickens, and pay down so Dumba Kiada, and the same should get that in the Ninto Kia Dushin sometime. And Dushin sometime at the Negida, the name Yamlen Chia Gobra, the only other do some time down to get Chick Ben Naza, Mambo, Lega, Mambo, Chick Samakanga, Mambo, Heavy in and Initialia, Chick Gomera, Yapure, Savida, Dushin, Sosorangi, Sosoralia, the Gomba de Lechiso Yinachi, Sosogi, Sosolia, Chick Napachi, Duanga, Dushin, some dashing, say, Dushin, some Danyam, some dashi, Dush Javena. Damon to get that, Digitan, Juju Yamlesiati, not do Chevena, the nigger some Tavena, somebody to Sarjik Da, Ni that in the Yansi Yansi Daya, Ruchi Ligorba, she's not the Yarketoyadi, some China did in the Chango, yes, at that Susu Yamlesiat and some died in the Shangazo.
To summarize, I'd suggest in your meditations, utilize these two verses together, conjoin them with the two before, so verses 25 to 28 in the third chapter, which are all about rejoicing, and use them in a similar way to develop a strength of mind, a determination, a recognition of our capacity. So the meditation itself starts with meditation on the sufferings of samsara. So these you would have been taught on in the past, so rely on those teachings to give rise to a determination to gain liberation from the suffering realms of samsara. This determination to emerge from the suffering realms of samsara comes about in dependence on two forms of meditation: the sufferings of samsara, and secondly, the causes of suffering, namely contaminated karma and the afflictions. Because what we are really looking to renounce, to abandon, are our own afflictions. This is what we need to come to recognize creates our samsaric prison. Our afflictions are our own jailers. They are our own prison. Recognizing how we bind ourselves in the samsaric prison, if we need to give rise to determination to gain freedom. Then, in the meditation, to whatever extent we generate that, and that meditation needs to thus far be done in relation to our own lived experience, not focusing outwards, but our own lived experience. Then one lifts one's focus and recognizes others are suffering in the same way. It's because of their afflictions that they accumulate the contaminated karma that ripens in suffering. And through this perpetual sequence of being bound in samsara, ever more causes for suffering are created. Recognizing then that beings are suffering in the same way as you, but they are blinded by their own ignorance in a way that you, to an extent that you no longer are. Because to whatever extent you've recognized the reason why you suffer, others, the vast majority of others, have yet to recognize that. This can be a basis to generate compassion for others, for their blindness to their own predicaments, and how they keep creating causes that they hope will lead to happiness, but actually will lead to further suffering. Develop the minds of love and compassion to the extent where you take responsibility for them gaining freedom, where you see it no longer as enough just to hope for things to improve for others, but you see it as your own responsibility to help them. And this is where you generate the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility. Then you recognize, well, the truth is I'm very limited. I haven't really generated definite emergence, nor love, nor compassion. These are all still, these actual realizations are still a little way off. I have to become a Buddha so that I can have these minds perfected within me. In this way, as a Buddha, I'll be free of any taint of the afflictions, and I can perfectly help others. So in this way, we generate bodhicitta. When we generate bodhicitta, we then generate a great joy at what you have been meditating on, recognizing how you are utilizing your life in such a good way. This meditation now that you have engaged in has planted so many virtuous imprints on your continuum. You strengthened your understanding of the sufferings of samsara, as well as strengthened your understanding of the causes of one's suffering. You strengthened the love and the compassion on your continuum and the mind of bodhicitta itself. That's a lot to recognize and rejoice in. Recognize that this human rebirth that you've achieved, you are utilizing well. And now commit that whomever I engage with today, let me be of benefit to them. To the extent that my capacity is developed, to the extent of my relationship with the other person, may I at the very least not add to their burden of suffering. And where I can, may I ease their burden or even benefit them. And where I cannot help others directly, when I'm perhaps engaging in things on my own, may I, through these endeavors, indirectly be of benefit to others. Through understanding the web of interconnection that we all share, may everything I do lead to the easing of suffering of beings. And as one continues in this meditation again and again, your own inner determination, your courage will grow. And in particular, as one comes to see ever more clearly our interconnection, our interdependence, one recognizes that all our thoughts matter, all our physical and verbal actions matter. And in this way, as we start to develop inner qualities ever more, we will gain more confidence that what I'm doing matters. It is having an impact on others, whether it's observable or not. This web of interconnection, I'm having a positive impact on that. And thereby, when one does meet the invariable challenges and hardships in one's day, one can recall one's meditation. That will give strength of mind that just like the new bodhisattvas, when they were aspirants like myself, they had to deal with these hardships and they persevered, and they now are bodhisattvas. I too can. And I can handle my challenging situations with skill, with tenderness, with care. Just like they have persevered and achieved something remarkable, I can too. So by engaging in this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period, this is how you create the causes on your own continuum that will eventually ripen into this mind of bodhicitta. And for you too, by some great good fortune, bodhicitta will arise within.
Tilatine San Yoko New to Topata, and she has Semje, and then Chigi Zemlukulia, and the Chi Nemo Chusushine, and the Chigi, she did yours, Sepeke, that Jimwa together, Denegi, Kawati Jipa, the Nea and Chigi, Denegi Yamlen Chevala, Kin Chinangi Parcheti, Muata, and Tunyan Karine, Tunyan Town again, and Chugusuma again, the draw Chile. Jeroche Sachi, Dushin some Tavena, then I'm taking Gawa troop, then one jab, then the Jiggy, then Yamle Mudisha, Tarsimba, Yabuchualia, Chugosum Solia, and the George in the Jeroches and Tinde Javana, that thing has to Dushin, that Saza Dushis the Cheku word, that around to get the 차상아랑이 주변아 찾아 지발에 도 제고래 제고를 제대로 도 신다 날이 임포티제 당수돼.
So finally, when one comes to dedicate, you dedicate with verses that inspire you. And these will be verses that include dedication towards the enlightenment of all beings. And these dedication verses are various expressions that express the wish for all beings to abide in peace. Through developing peace within, outer peace will dominate as well. And when you dedicate, you can rely on verses such as we covered about 10 verses or so earlier, 10 to 15 verses so earlier in the chapter, where the Bodhisattva expresses the various enlightened activities that they hope to engage in as they develop skills within, that they may alleviate even the temporary sufferings such as illness, impoverishment, and poverty, and famine throughout the world. So wherever these verses of aspiration of the Bodhisattva that you've encountered have touched you, include those in your practice and use them to continue to develop the joy in mind, the strength of your mind, to continue and be of ever more benefit in this world. So I encourage you to meditate like this from now. We'll meet again in a week and continue in this way to build up the skill within your mind. Now I'm sharing with you here is how I meditate myself. So I encourage you to also join me in these meditations. And thank you very much. We'll finish there for tonight. Thank you.